Welcome to the Marriage, Money, and Mindset podcast. If we haven't met before, I am Monica. So last week I went into all about praise, appreciation, and gratitude and why it's important. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to lay out some tips and tools and tricks for you that's going to allow you to actually put that into practice. The very first tip is make sure that your compliment to complaint ratio is right. What I've noticed in my marriage, and I even do this with my kids, is that I don't really say a whole lot until something is wrong. So what happens is the words that are coming out of your mouth is like negative, 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 positive, negative, 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 negative. And that balance is just not there. And I find myself not just doing this with my husband, I also do this with my children. These kids are always fighting from the moment that they are born. If they're awake, they're fighting. I'm constantly expressing like negativity on them. Like I really feel like I've become an awful, mean person since they were born. I'm like, this is not who I am. So I have to be very intentional, very proactive to actually look for the times when I can find the things that they're doing right. Oh, I like how you guys are getting along so well today. Oh, the thing you did for your brother, that was so kind of you. Thank you for doing that. And so they need that recognition. Your husband needs the recognition for when they're doing something right. And not only do they need the recognition for when they're doing it right, they need it in a ratio that is far more positive than it is to negative. But right now, most of the time it's flipped and we hear like 10 negatives to 1 positive. So the one time that you do have to deliver something that can be construed as something that's negative, it can be received okay because they know that it's not something that's all the time, right? So the ratio in which you're delivering positive words needs to be much greater than the negative. I would strive for a 10-to-1 ratio personally. Another tip is to praise the effort, not the outcome. I remember several times when my husband had come to me and he had expressed something that he didn't like or wanted to have me see change. And I actually worked very, very, very hard to make the change. And then he would never recognize because I wasn't quite to where he thought I should be. So the next time something would come up, he would be like, oh, you never did this. And I'm like, dude, you have no idea how hard I've been trying. And what does that discounting of the effort do when you don't recognize the effort that your spouse is making while he might not be at that point yet that he needs to be? The mere fact that he is trying, the mere fact that he is trying is so important to give recognition to so that his efforts continue. Because when you not only don't recognize the effort, but discount the effort, it makes him give up. It makes him be like, what am I doing this for? So it's very important to recognize the effort that he's putting in, even if he's not quite where he needs to be yet. And the funny thing is, like, I can kind of get cocky with myself because I'm like, yeah, I got this wife game figured out. I have it down pretty good. And then I'll do something and be like, oh, I need work, right? So no matter how good of a wife you are, it's good to stay humble because what happened was my husband and I were over at AM/PM. He wanted to run the truck to the car wash. And as part of, I don't know if you guys have AM/PM where you're at, but when you buy a car wash, you get to spin the wheel. When you spin the wheel, it circles around and you get to win a prize. And the prize that he won was a soda. Now, I've told you guys, I don't know if you've missed it, I love Diet Coke and it has to be a fountain soda. It cannot be just any other soda. But what he didn't know was that particular AM/PM, their soda has been junk for like months. I don't know, like it's like no carbonation. It's very flat. He brings it to me and I taste a sip. I'm like, yeah, it still sucks. And here, instead of saying like, thank you, that was so sweet of you for offering that. And I completely blew it by being obsessed with the fact that the soda still sucked. Another tip is to not discount or to not express gratitude or appreciation for things that are his job or things he would normally do. Why do I need to thank him for paying the bills? Why do I need to thank him for being a good dad? Like, shouldn't he just naturally be those things or naturally do those things? Well, yeah, of course he should. But the fact is that we all still like to hear positivity and appreciation, even for the mundane. My husband, he never goes a night when I cook dinner, which is way more than I used to. There's not a time when after dinner he will say thank you for dinner. And it doesn't even matter if it's like macaroni and cheese or something like totally lame. Every single night he'll say thank you for dinner. And not only is it nice to hear, but the kids are there. And now guess what they do? Every single night they express gratitude and thankfulness for dinner. So no matter what, if it's his job, still say thank you for it. It doesn't cost anything. Another tip is to never punish behavior you want to see more of. And we've all heard the Nike slogan of just do it. Well, how about we adopt a similar slogan for our marriage, which is just say it. Is your husband's butt looking extra good in those jeans today? Say it. Do you like the color of the shirt he's wearing today? Say it. Is he sporting that 3-day unshaven beard that you love so much? Say it. Cooking you some famous spaghetti that is your absolute favorite? Say it. Are you grateful that he took your son to baseball practice so you can have some much needed alone time? Say it. The general rule is that if there's something positive that runs through your brain and the other person is within earshot to hear it, say it. Because they're going to appreciate it so much. Like, who doesn't like a compliment, right? Particularly from your spouse. Heck yeah. Like, I particularly love when my husband tells me something besides like, I love you. Like, if he tells me I'm proud of you, oh my gosh, for me, that is like the ultimate compliment. And the reason why I think I'm proud of you is so much more powerful even than like, I love you, is because I always feel like there's always some kind of like, okay, you have to love your wife, right? That's your job, but you don't have to be proud of your wife. My husband has high standards. So if he says to me, like, I'm proud of you, like that is a big deal for me. Another tip, and this is a big one, is that you must stroke his ego. Stroke your husband's ego as much as possible, even to the point, I'm not going to tell you to lie, but I'm going to tell you to stretch the truth as much as possible. He wants to feel like he's the man. So make him feel like the man. You know, stroking his ego is so powerful that I believe that this is why the majority of affairs happen. We, as wives, don't do so great. And when I say we, I'm pointing the finger at myself too. I'm not just pointing the finger at you. So what happens is he's feeling down as a husband. He's feeling unloved. His wife is rejecting him for sex, and so he's feeling unattractive. When he gets home, whatever he does, the efforts aren't acknowledged. So he feels like he's never good enough. His wife doesn't ever offer words of affirmation or praise of the man or the husband that he is. So he's feeling just overall completely unloved, dejected, shamed. He's feeling not like the man. So what happens? He goes to work and there's Susie Q. I don't know why I got the word Susie Q. I just always use that. There's Susie Q. She comes by, she'll stop and say, oh, thank you so much for working so hard on that project. Oh, you know, that suit looks good on you. Give him smiles, laugh at his jokes, put her hand on the shoulder, make it linger there a bit too long. And all of a sudden he's feeling like the man. And so while I don't condone the behavior, I think I at least understand the psychology of how he got there. So I want you to really understand how important these small little stroking his ego is as insurance for your marriage, because he needs to be the man in somebody's eyes. And if it can't be your eyes, it's going to be somebody else's. When you're stroking his ego, it doesn't just mean about his physical qualities. No, you could speak to who he is as a man in general. You could speak about his values, his standards, his morality, his ability to provide for the family. You could find something to stroke his ego about something. I'm telling you, it's so important. One of the things I love about my husband is he has this loud, boisterous laugh. We're at a party and it could be loud out, there could be music playing. I can hear that man all the way across the room, or even if he's outside and I'm inside. Sometimes he'll catch himself, whether it's on a video or whatever, he's like, oh my gosh, my laugh. And I'm like, no, I love your laugh. Like, I love that it's loud and boisterous and I can hear you across the room. So if you could take something even that he feels a little self-conscious about and then turn it around into something that you love, like that's strong, that's powerful. And there's a lot of times when men commit adultery that they'll do so with a woman who's not nearly as pretty as the wife. And you may think this like doesn't make any sense because men are such visual creatures, but that other woman has mastered the skill of stroking the ego. Do you know if you're even smart about it, you can actually even turn something he's complaining about into an opportunity to stroke his ego? Let me tell you this story. So Michael knows as I've gotten older, I've gotten more expensive, right? Like I got to pay for the hair. I got to pay for the lashes. I got to pay for the Botox. My body, that's my house. It's, it's older. It's going to require more money. So there's one particular day he was kind of complaining a little bit about, how expensive I am. Now, in the past, what I would have done is I would have been like, listen, buddy, I bring in more money than you do. What are you talking about? What are you complaining about? But no, I had to get smarter with it. I just simply look over at him and I say, well, it's a good thing I have a sugar daddy, isn't it? So not only did I avoid an argument, I actually took it as an opportunity to make him feel like the man, like, oh, look at me. I am doing so well as a man that I can financially afford an expensive wife. So look for those opportunities to turn those complaints into a stroking of the ego. Another strategy is to use comparison. And there's a right way to use comparison, and there's a wrong way to use comparison. I'm going to teach you the right way to use it. First of all, you should never compare your husband to another man. Why can't you love me like Bill loves Susie? Anybody who's listening whose name is Susie is going to hate me. The first thing is, why do you not want to compare your husband to another man? Well, you're not married to Bill. You're married to your husband. He might be better in one aspect and not in the other. The fact of the matter is you're not married to him. So stop comparing your husband. It has zero relevance. And I'm not telling you not to compare because we all do it. And it can actually be something that's helpful and beneficial if it's done correctly. So what is the way to do it correctly? Well, if you have a scenario where you notice something, you're like, maybe Bill does do something in particular better than your husband. Maybe he takes her out on more date nights and you want your husband to take you out on a date night. Instead of saying, why can't you be more like Bill? Why don't you just skip that step and go straight into asking your husband what you want? This actually happened the other day with my kids. Madison had already had a popsicle after dinner. We're a big popsicle family in our household. It's usually the standard dessert after dinner. So Madison had come in, she had finished one popsicle, and then she notices that Mason had a second popsicle. So all of a sudden, she's like, well, why does Mason have a second popsicle? And so what I said to her, Madison, I know what's going on in your mind. You're looking at Mason and you're saying, Mason has a second popsicle. That's not fair. I want a second popsicle. I said, Madison, why can't you just get to the point where you ask for a second popsicle? She's using comparison, but instead of using it to get to that point, which is she wants a second popsicle too, she comes about and complains about the fact that what she doesn't have. And we do this a lot. We do this as women. We're using the comparison for the fact to express, hey, we want something. But instead of just asking for that, what we want, we just complain about what we don't have. I wouldn't say it's wrong, it's just not effective. So skip right to the point where you ask your husband for what you want. I had the same thing happen too. I was scrolling on X, formerly Twitter, and I followed this guy, Tyler, who actually does very much like what I do for women, he does for men. He works on the relationship and things of that nature, but geared towards men. And I was noticing he was posting about how he has date night once a week with his wife. And I was like, you know what, my husband's not great with initiating date night. I want more date nights too. Now, do I need it once a week? No, I don't need date night once a week. But I just thought, you know what, my husband could do a better job at setting up date nights. And so what I did is I took a moment where we were having one-on-one and we were walking around the baseball park before our son's baseball game. And I said, you know, I've noticed that you've done a really great job with, taking over as president of the motorcycle club. You've had to set up all these rides and you had to not only set them up, but you had to find an Airbnb. And so I'm giving him compliments all along the way of what a good job and a leadership role in setting things up and making plans. I'm already like pumping him up. Like, I know you have this in you. I see you're the man that's capable. So do that for our marriage too. Do that in this category too. And so during this whole conversation, he's like, yeah, it's something that I really wanted to do, but I'm always worried about like what you're going to like, that anything that I have planned, that is going to be something you don't like. I said, listen, that's not the point. It's more about you taking the initiative and making that happen. I promise you, whatever we do, I won't complain. So comparison has its usefulness as a tool to help us identify what exactly we want and then move forward to expressing that desire to your husband. Comparison should never be used as a tool for shame, blame, or to make your husband feel like a piece of shit. That's what a good man wants. They want you to be happy. They don't want you to just get the basic. They want to give you the world. So you might say, like, Monica, what are the actual words that you're using? Typically, it'll be something like, I love it when you blank. I love it when you make the bed. I love it when I can hear you laugh across the room. I love it when you wear jeans, or I love it when you wear a black shirt. I love black shirts on my husband. He doesn't wear them as often as I'd like, but I do. Another one is, I'm proud of you. Like I said, for me, those words are powerful. I'm proud of you for doing that. I'm proud of you for making the effort. I'm proud of you for doing such a good job at work and closing all those cases. Another one is, I feel so loved when you blank. I feel so loved when you call me during the day. I feel so loved when you send me text messages during the day. I feel so loved when you help me with dishes because I feel like, we're really a team. I feel so loved when you say kind words to me. I feel so loved when you speak to me in such a loving tone. Another one is, I love that you're so strong. I love that you could be stubborn at times. I love that you are crazy and fun and laugh so much. I love that you have such an extensive vocabulary. Another one is, I want to. I want to go to the park. I want to go to Disneyland. I want to go on a vacation. I want us all to eat together as a family. I want to have more sex. I want to have less sex. I want more hugs. I want more kisses. I want more affection. Tell him what you want. Let him try to figure out a way to give it to you. And with that, we conclude our How to Speak to Your Husband series. I hope the words I speak to you are powerful. I hope that the words that I speak to you help you speak to your husband in a way that he can feel loved. And with that, I'll see you next time.